Hello, welcome back to City Planner Plays, where we are building the city of Verde Beach. In the previous episode, we spent a whole bunch of time building this hillside neighborhood, or rather, mulliganing the whole neighborhood and redoing it. And today we are going to focus on appeasing Myrtle and working on a bit of infill in between these two neighborhoods here, Myrtle Park and the Lewis Garden City. We have a pretty vicious scar from when we had a highway going through here, and there's a whole bunch of land that is opened up. This land belongs to the Department of Transportation, and they are actively marketing it in an effort to get this gain some value really from the land that they once paid a whole bunch of money for. And in this case, they might actually make money because the land values have improved. So we're going to get to this, but I do want to go over a couple of things from the previous build. So I loaded this up today and I had some issues. So these fences were jumping all over the place. So I actually had to remove them from most of this area. So if you are a patron and you loaded up episode 66, I apologize for the way that this looks. It is fixed and it will be uploaded today, which is a couple days ago. This is actually one of the perks that I give patrons is early access to my saves and all of my saves across all of my cities. So if you are interested in becoming a patron or a YouTube member, that's something that you get. Anyway, this is I had to go through here and I had to change the zoning. Since I had to do that already, I took a look at where there was tearing and tried to remove most of those buildings, but I changed the zoning basically lot by lot to back all of the buildings off from the cliff just a little bit. Things look a lot better. There was a Japanese garden here that was really terrible to look at. So I fixed that by removing it and taking some of these park life assets from the nature reserve and added a nice little lookout here so you could take a look at the city. The other thing I did based on your feedback was added a place to cross the street. So around each of these corners, I have changed the road type so that we get some crosswalks so that folks on basically on the inside would be able to cross and use some of these cable cars, because right now it is impossible before it was impossible to get outside if you were on the inside. That's it. And then there's one thing I wanted to take a look at, and that is this. We now have a bus route that is coming all the way over here to get here. So this bus route is actually coming, if we trace it back, this is that crazy long bus route going to the Pyrotechnic. So I want to fix this before we do anything else. So let's turn them all off and isolate that route. Okay, there it is. So most of this route is actually redundant now. There's no need to go all the way down here. We've got a metro to do that. And in fact, we would strongly prefer that you take the metro, considering the capacity of the bus service is so modest. So let's get rid of that. So it'll do its loop-de-loop back here, and it'll come over here. And if it's going to go all the way up here, we might as well add a stop. And I'm going to add a couple of those. I think that it would make sense to add those by each of these. Now, the visibility here is a concern. I'll bring it around the corner. So it gives them a modest amount of bus service. It also allows them to get way over here to the observatory and everything happening over here. So I think that's a good improvement for this area and for the transit service generally. There was one other transit related thing that I have completely missed on a couple of occasions. There is a bus route that is on the outside of one of the transfer centers. So I want to take a look and find out where that is. Okay, and here it is. So Daenerys on the Discord server pointed this out. This stop is supposed to be inside of the transfer center, not on the outside of it. And now it is. Although I believe I have two. Ooh, this is dangerous. If I delete it, I actually don't think that I do. So I think we're good there now. And that is very, very helpful. So thank you, Daenerys, for pointing that out. We are good now. All right, so let's get working on this neighborhood. So I'm noticing that there's a ton of backup here now. Thankfully, I don't think it's really impacting our traffic. I don't know how, but it's not. So one of our goals is going to be to grade separate this crossing right here. We're going to raise the train up, continue the elevation, and drop it down a little bit later. We're going to straighten out some of these tracks so we have even more space I think one of the reasons we're having backups, so I did do a little bit of surveying before I started recording, and I noticed that some of these trains going through here are now passenger trains. And there's a good reason for that. And if we come way over here, we're allowing intercity trains. Now, that was mentioned in the comments, and a number of people said that doesn't make sense. I was okay with that at first, thinking someone could come from a rural area without an airport, come to our great metropolitan airport. Maybe it will be an international airport with that new DLC. They could come here by train, take a plane. And to me, that's a good thing. Verde Beach is kind of the transportation hub of the area. That's not a problem. So I didn't have a problem with that until I started seeing backups. And that's a game mechanic thing that it's outside of my control. So I figure that's one thing I can do, is attempt to resolve that by eliminating some of those pinch points that are kind of artificial. So now we are going to work in this. So with this area, we've got a couple of things we're going to try to do. Number one, we don't want to destroy any homes that are already there. So this is a logical connection. It's not going to ever happen. This would be a nice connection to make. We're not going to do that either. So we're going to have to work with the land that we have. We can go into trails. That's right of way, and we will break that up. But we don't want to knock down any houses if we can avoid it. That is our challenge. So we're going to spend some money because we're going to grade separate some of this stuff, and we're going to start that right now. We'll grab this, and the very first thing we're going to do is just boost this up. Not a house destroyed. There we go. We're already starting. So we're gonna keep that up. I'm really up for the challenge today. So let's go ahead. We'll keep this up in the air. Actually, I was gonna do a nice curve, and I'm wondering if that even makes sense. It is very ugly though, in terms of the way that it's connecting up. So I'm gonna try. So there's a little bit of a bumpy there. Some lumpies, some bumpies. I don't like it. So now is where the challenge is it's really going to test me. So let's use our freeform tool. We'll get rid of angle, road guidelines. Let's just do this by hand. Okay, there we go. So now I should be able to make a very simple connection into here, although that's a drop. So let's pull this down a bit further. We got to get rid of our angle though, because it's really wants to get too close there. Now we'll turn our angle back on. Slowly loop back around, and this is going to be kind of I'm not sure if this is a faux pas or not, but we'll find out. I've gained a bit of extra land there. That's a really tight junction. Hopefully, now that we have this grade separation, things will improve. I don't think we really have many other places on this line where we have an at-grade crossing. I don't really see any. That's great. So that was likely one of our last at-grade crossings in the city. Now that there's a significant backup. The backup went basically from this side of the city all the way over here. And it was difficult to diagnose where it was beginning. I mean, there are just a lot of trains right here that aren't full. So that's probably another part of it. So we could potentially take some of these down. We don't need 10 vehicles. We're just adding congestion to our train line, and they've got 15 passengers. So that's another consideration. But here we've got all of these, right here, this allows intercity trains. Again, is that really necessary? We're right by downtown. So let's stop that. I know it's the in the club district, and maybe in the club we want to be able to get to it from outside. But take the train downtown, transfer, and you'll be fine. You just see all of these trains just all over the place. And it's like 5, 10, 15 passengers. 1 passenger. But this is one of our routes. This one we have 3 trains on, and these are mostly empty too. Now I'm not sure if that's because they're spawning vehicles out of their pockets, as Biffo would say, or what the case may be, but something to keep an eye on. I do think it is improving, and at least now we're not going to have our vehicles back up because our trains are backing up. Now, one place that I did see that this was causing issues is over here, because we have such significant backup of our trains. The freight is struggling right here. So we could see some benefit in having an asymmetrical road here. and hopefully that alleviates some of the traffic. We're doubling the amount of queuing that we have, assuming people are going in both directions, and it looks like they're not. So that's maybe not as helpful as it could have been, but we'll still take it. But you see there's significant backup, and that is, a lot of that has to do with the trains. And they're backing up all the way back. So we'll keep an eye on that. Let's get back to what our focus of this episode is right here. So where we're going to start is extending some roadway networks, some roads. We want to be able to get across this in a car. So that is going to be one of our primary goals. And we've got one connection right here. I think we need at least one more. We're going to come right here or right here and make a connection over to the shopping center. It's unfortunate there's no way to connect directly to Myrtle Park, but we can do what we can. And then I'm going to turn from here and drop this down a bit. Actually, I really like that angle that it's coming in at, so I might use that. By might, I mean I absolutely am going to use that. The nice thing is if you use the curved road tool, you have the ability to get the exact angle and your bridge length, so you get the smoothest connection down. That is pretty terrible. We're going to raise the terrain here just a bit, and that should resolve this for us. And then I can upgrade it. There we go. And now I can come back.
Now watch what happens as the plates converge.
Through here, and whoa. Here's where I wish I had undo it. That's a bit of a problem. That was fast. That was really fast. Jeez. All right, we'll smooth this out a little bit, make it feel a little more reasonable. We've got a connection. This is not a good connection, but it is a connection. Nice bridge all the way across. Let's see. I bet you right off the bat, if we speed this up just a little bit, we look at what utilization's like here. There's some, and it's public transit and cargo. Interesting, and freight. Very interesting. That makes me curious. What are we seeing? Oh, a bus route has decided that this is the appropriate route. Very interesting. So this is the bus route that links the two, both the Lewis Market District station and the Myrtle Park station. So it's just a route that's pinging back and forth between the two of them. And for whatever reason, heading towards Lewis Garden, it's a little bit shorter in the game's mind. So whatever, we'll take it. Now we're going to need to create some sort of new system here. I want to see if, first of all, we're going to make one more connection here. We're not going to have a lot of connectivity, so whatever we can get, we're going to take. So without this connection, it's not a cul-de-sac because we have connectivity on both sides, but it is certainly isolated. So we want to be cognizant of that. And we can mirror some of what's going on here. Now, I have a curiosity with this build. So I built this a long time ago as I was practicing and trying different things. I do that. I try to see what I can get away with building. So I tried this and I forgot to look at one thing, and that is land value. So this whole area has low land value, and Myrtle Park is pretty low as well. So if we take a look, it's 46 cells per meter squared. Over here, it's 90. So I'm wondering if adding this road and developing this strip improves things for Myrtle Park. We're also going to pull Myrtle City Park back. We've got a lot of space now that's not being utilized, so there's no reason not to do something with that. So this block's going to have a little bit of space in between. Everything here is going to be just completely based on the land that's available to us. So there'll be connectivity within these blocks, but perhaps not great connectivity anywhere else from these blocks. And then we have an opportunity here because we have a train station, the train track here. I do think there would be value in bringing a train station here. Make sure I didn't destroy everything by severing that power connection. Looks like it jumped right there. We're good. So we're going to take the opportunities that are available to us. We're also going to break through the trail here. Really love to not break that bridge. I'm okay breaking the path, but that bridge is a multi-million-dollar bridge. So let's do our best to not do that. Now back here, we are going to have to cul-de-sac. We don't really have any options, and we are going to destroy a house. Oh.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
I am very sorry for destroying your house, person. The funny thing is, it's not even gone. I wonder. Can Can I save this quickly with a fence? So we're going to give it a go. Did I save it? I think I did.
Mission.
No.
That little fence there. All right, we're going to take it. That's good. And over here, the path served as that buffer, so we didn't have any issues there. So very good. As we get closer to these, I'm going to need to be really aware of that. In fact, I might get so aware of it right now that I just put the fence in proactively. And truthfully, I would imagine that this happens anyway. So I've worked on neighborhoods where basically, what's the most charitable way of putting this? So the neighborhood develops understanding that a neighborhood is supposed to develop adjacent to it. And due to reasons of recessions and whatnot, that neighborhood doesn't develop. And then eventually a new neighborhood is proposed. And that neighborhood doesn't look like the neighborhood that has been developed prior. And the neighbors come out of the woodwork and they're very upset. They're very scared, and I think I have a great deal of empathy when there is change and there's fear of that change, so long as it's not loaded. In some cases, it's fear of the unknown, and others, it's fear of property value loss or the other coming in, and that's never acceptable in my mind. Being afraid of other people, especially when you don't know who's going to move in. So, anyway, we're just filling this area in a little bit, and I don't know that we're going to get beyond this road here. I really want to make sure that we're covering this area, and we haven't really gone beyond this anywhere else, so we're going to leave that gap there. So this will be the spot that we reserve for the train station, and we're going to have a cul-de-sac back here, and I'm going to go full cul-de-sac, and we're going to throw in a circle back here. That's pretty terrible. We're not going to do that. We need to be able to buffer this, so we'll just leave a stub there. The vanilla game just doesn't do great, and truthfully, I don't do great putting in cul-de-sacs, so I guess sometimes you accept your limitations as a player, and I'll keep working on them. It's dams and cul-de-sacs. So those are my things that I'm just very bad at. So here, this is going to be a trick. So I don't want to knock down that bridge. I also want to make sure that I'm not being too disruptive here. So this is not an end of line, and it's pretty ugly. There's some grade here, and I didn't look. So this is a bypass station. Let's get rid of that. Let's look at our terrain. Oh, everyone hates that. Yeah, the terrain here is not suitable. We're going to need to improve this a bit. So let's come through here. And I'm going to choose something right in the middle. And then we'll come back through, use our curved road tool, make a nice connection. There we go. And now I will give a station I'll give it a go again. This might be a very nice amenity here if I can make it work. I might need to call a mulligan on that bridge, but I think I might be able to make this work. Okay, we're going to do it. So I paused it so we could sever that track. And I'm going to pull this fairly far over. Now, ooh, that is brutal. That is brutal. Oh, and look at this. That's terrible. It works, but it's not good. So I'm going to try to do this. But it's going to take some work. So let's shrink this up. We'll grab our top height, our bottom height, and we'll smooth it out. And it's really a challenge. I might actually even need to move this road in just a bit to get this to work. That's better. It's not great, and now our pillar's in the way. So just can't win. Oh, there we go. So this is a bypass station. So as long as I have this bridge set up appropriately, I should be able to just connect this back up. There we go. And we're going to need to hide the lumpies and bumpies there. We can figure that out. And right away, we're not going to allow intercity trains. Not here. We don't want that kind of backup. So let's get this going. We've got to cross this. Can I drop it down? I cannot. And now we've got to have some more active interventions here to make this work. And that's going to include pulling this down right there. So that severs some of our connectivity here, which is a problem. We'll delete this, and I want to look at our terrain to see if there's anything that we can do to drop this down to get a road underneath. Okay, this is going to be really a challenge. But we're going to have to plan something different for this area. This is no longer suitable for residential in this area, and that's fine. Not every area is going to be, even though the previous neighborhood was developed almost exclusively as a residential neighborhood. This doesn't need to be. Actually, I just really don't like what I did here, so we're going to go back on that, go back to the drawing board, and I think it'll be much nicer to curve this over, find our angle there, and make our connection. That stinks too. Sometimes you just don't like anything that you're doing, and this is one of those times. And we're just going to leave it. I just need to back away and understand that this is just, there's not a lot of development potential back here. There's some, and we've certainly improved things a bit. I think I'm gonna stub some small cul-de-sacs back here. Yeah, even that, like, there's not really a point. I'm not really getting much out of it. So yeah, we'll just leave it. All right, so now the land uses, well, first of all, let's get our water pipes underneath the road. Ooh, that's not underneath the road. I don't know that. Oh, that must be that's an old road. That's great. So that's some of the things that you'd find if you were going through and buying some property, that there's still right of way there. Or a pipe. So we're going to leave that there. I think that's interesting. And there we go. We've got water all the way through our new little neighborhood. So back here, I am wondering, there's something more that I can do. If I'm very careful, because I feel very reserved, very uncomfortable with the amount of developable land that we got out of all of this. We didn't get much. It's pretty modest in terms of what I was expecting. So we'll do a little bit more. And then right here, I feel like there's an opportunity for something bigger. And I think what's gonna be bigger is gonna be a park that'll anchor this new neighborhood. And this is a new place. So I don't want to just extend the Lewis Garden City into this area. We're just going to create a brand new district. And I see that we're missing some other districts. So this little neighborhood here has never had a name. So in the comments, if you could, give me some names and we will take care of this. And I apologize that in the last little while, I've not been as responsive in the comments. I was working on the DLC videos diligently, and I've been spending a little bit of time on that. So I have more time now, and we'll look more closely at some of these things. So please leave me a comment. Maybe it should remain Myrtle Heights. Let me know. And right here, we're going to do another neighborhood. Another one right here. Come through. And actually, the boundary I just made is not very good. I'm going to extend Myrtle Park out, because really the natural boundary there, and if this were the census coming in and making census blocks, it would be this road. They use those sorts of features to draw their boundaries, and I assume that that's the way everyone in this neighborhood would view it too. This is part of Myrtle Park. This is still a significant barrier. So this corridor's, it's an expressway. You can't really cross it except for these couple of crossings that we have here. So we need to make a pedestrian crossing right here so that people could continue that path that they used to make. Now we can start developing some of this land, and that'll get our power connection made. And then I want to add some landscaping around here. Now look, everything is cleared up. Everything looks good with our train traffic. As I say that, never say anything. I want to start out with some of our commercial, and we're going to have a bit of commercial around the train station, which will buffer some of that noise, keep it to the area that would benefit the most from it. And then here, I want to have some office uses. There's really not any office type uses over here. So these folks over in Myrtle Park are 100% relying on the industrial park for jobs. I think that's okay, actually. I want to say that the schools out policy is enabled over here. It is. So maybe it's not the end of the world that there are no offices. That said, it will still benefit this area over here. So we're going to go for it. Just a couple. And this will be the transit-oriented development portion of this. As I go through and I see that I put a bunch of low density, let's up the density here because it would make it a ton of sense to have a node of high density in this area. And I think that it would have a better chance of surviving the impact of the sound over here as well. So the benefit that someone who's living in an apartment or a condo might see of living close to transit, it helps them live a car-free lifestyle. And as a result, they might be willing to accept some of the externalities of the noise associated with the train. So we'll go with that. I would assume there's all these gaps in between these homes that the city would have had an easement through here, and they would try to exercise an easement, and everyone over here would go ballistic. So as much as I'd love to make a ped connection through here, we're going to not do that. We're going to say that the city lost a battle, and that battle was for the ability to execute its own easement. So outside of this area, we're going to preserve some right-of-way there for that road connection in the future. We are going to zone very tightly here. We have a very loose pattern on the outside of the Lewis Market District, Lewis Garden District. We are not continuing that over here. And the main reason for that is at this point, the DOT is trying to recuperate value and get as much as they can out of this. And we're going to call one quick mulligan. I missed an opportunity to make a connection here and break up this block. This is a very long block, and the block length would likely require some sort of connection through here. We're going to make that connection. And then we're also going to change our road type so that we can fudge a crosswalk through there. Now I could make it center on there. I'm not overly concerned. I think it's fine. And I missed my park opportunity. So we're going to also take one more mulligan. And I want to connect this up through using the gravel paths. So we'll take your home. I'm very sorry. And let's de-zone this property right here so we don't have a weird one-line property. I'd love to be able to connect underneath the bridge. It's just not going to happen. The terrain's not going to allow for it. So we'll live with this. And then over here, some residential. There we go. So we've bridged this gap and filled it in and haven't given everyone water. So this is a great improvement in this area. Now I'm curious. I'm guessing, let's take bets. Pause the video, write down the number that you think Cypress Square is going to be in terms of value. My guess, I'm going to say 58. 52. I'm low. So that's a gradient here. Hopefully that park helps. Well, we've got a loud, when we take a look at this. Whew. That's rough. And the funny thing about it is there's nothing even serving this area right now. So we should fix that. Because why deal with all this noise only to have no benefit at all from it? I'd love to come through here and add a stop. Problem is it breaks it unless I add another junction. I'll turn angle off and see if I can make this happen through here. And I will turn on road guidelines here so I can maybe line up. Oh, I can see that that's already going to cause problems. Oh boy, those folks would be furious. So let's see what I can do. I'm going to go a bit further down. So there's a notch here, and I'm wondering if I get rid of that, if that helps. So I'm going to turn off road guidelines and get really particular with this. This is going to be a slow corner. Yeah, that's not going to work. So what this is all telling me is that I probably should have just left this alone and built a route that pings back and forth between these two stations and force a transfer. It's not ideal, but I think it might be the best that I have. So it's going to be a short route. We're going to need to restructure this at some point. I can't even do that. It just says, no, we're not doing that. Oh, shoot. And here's why. We're actually bypassing this station. So we have to come all the way over here to downtown. Okay, well, that's what we're doing. There we go. Our new train route. And we are going to call this we'll leave it unnamed. The next episode, I want to go through and name all these lines, but I want to wait until we have a name for Cypress Square, which is not a square at all. So I will leave that to you. And I do want to enact something in here, and I think I'm gonna put in Modern City Center over here. See how those commercial buildings look around here? I think it's gonna look really spectacular. So it's not a city center, but it's a town center, and I think that'll be a nice atmosphere for this area, and certainly something unique to this area. So I'm gonna decorate with the assets available to me, but I've got to be completely honest with you. I'm pretty excited about some of the stuff that's going to be coming, and in the new DLC, and it's making me reluctant to over decorate because I'm gonna have a stream where I decorate the heck out of VB, some of the new stuff in the new DLC. So it's I'll do a bit, but my heart's it's not there right now because I know that something so good is coming. Something so good is coming. Who am I kidding? My heart's always there. I'm always happy to put a couple of trees down. And, I think that you should be. This is what makes your build beautiful and, in my opinion, more fun. So we've done some work here. This area is certainly looking better. I'm going to add some trees to try to dampen the noise a bit in here. So I'm wondering if these are just too small to develop using the Modern City Center. So I'm going to convert those to offices. And even from the train station, I want to hide that corridor. And it will increase the flammability of this area. So back when I was in LA, one of the things that I was very interested in was guerrilla urbanism. Not saying that I took part in it, but it was a very interesting concept. And one of those things that happened is in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m, some folks would go out and plant trees around LA. And I just think if you were going to do something that, operates in the areas of gray, is there a better thing to do than plant trees? That said, trees are very specifically planted for a variety of reasons, and those reasons can include disease tolerance and resistance. I am not an arborist or an expert by any means, but I do know that they're planted for a reason. But I was 21 at one point, and I like to have fun, and lots of people did. So, and improve the world. So I think that's what everyone's goal at that age. And honestly, I think at least it's been something that it's one of the reasons I wanted to become a planner was, to make a difference in the world that was positive in my community. And, I think that even on YouTube, one of the things that I appreciate is by talking about planning issues, so many of you reach out in the comments to say that I've helped you gain an interest in the built environment around you. That to me, there are lots of comments that get left on my videos that are very positive, but there's that one that always, I feel like I've really succeeded at something important. Off topic, but on my mind. All right. So I filled this in. We've even appeased this neighborhood. That one of the things that you can do to make a neighborhood happy when something is being developed next to them that they're not happy about is to plant lots of trees on the buffer and potentially even in their yard. Trees, bushes, flowers, anything, it makes people happy. So let's pop down and see what this feels like at the street level. So we're down here. And yeah, you get to see some trees. You still see the train. This is very urban. We could use a bit more back there. When you come over here, this feels wonderful. It's a place you want to go, take your hot dog truck, spin around. Not the donut van though, just the hot dog truck. Yeah, I think that this to me feels like a nice area. You would be excited to get a job here, take the train, pop in, get some views of the downtown and the skyscrapers down there, and think about where you're not, by the ocean. But you are in this nice neighborhood with lots and lots of greenery around it. So this was kind of that empty space. We'll fill that in. Up, down. There we go. Much better. So we've looked over here. I'm going to do something with the park, but that's not today. What I do want to finish off with is focusing a bit on this area right here. So this is very disjointed. It's very, very messy at this point. And I think that we could do better. We've got this whole, we've got a broken grid at this point. We've got a bridge that's too long. The span doesn't make sense. We're going to fix that. And it's funny, I convinced myself that this bridge was really long, and it's not. Although I think I could have, let's back that up a little bit. This isn't very tall coming across there, so maybe we can just bring it back. In fact, let's just pull our road back here. Get rid of these road guidelines, make this a perfect grid, and we'll make our connection there. There we go, that's better. Now, there's going to be a lack of connectivity again back here because I'm not interested in destroying everything that already exists. I'm just refining and adding on. We could make a connection here, but I don't know that that serves us well. It's going to be a bit of a challenge for this area to not have some of that roadway connectivity, but it's not insurmountable. I do want this road here to be parallel with this track. I think that that would be a nice aesthetic. We'll turn on our road guidelines and see if I can pull one. So I think that's more or less parallel. It looks good to me. And honestly, the eyeball test is as good as any. So we're going to leave that like that. Very good. And we're going to fill this area in with more industrial uses. We haven't zoned for industrial in a long time. And in fact, the I-10 Industrial Park, what is the deal with this? We should look at the policies. So recreational use, because that's what you should be doing, come to work and smoke some pot or eat it. This industrial space planning, we don't have Industry 4.0, which is an interesting choice at this point in time. I'm curious. It looks like the employment levels here are actually really good. People are highly educated though. So you can see that at the educated level, which is just people with their elementary school education, we just don't really have that anymore in this city. And that's because of the number of universities that we have. So I am very likely going to just enact the Industry 4.0 policy in this area and pull this industrial park all the way out. At this point, it really does encompass everything along the river here. Looks like I also still have 2 water pumps over here, and that was a mistake. Ah, shoot. So I broke my district. We'll need to try again. Now let's check our water. Yeah, we've got plenty of availability, and part of it is we don't need these water structures here, and they're no longer appropriate. So we'll just eliminate those, and that balances out our water and sewage for the most part. Now, this is called the I-10 Industrial Park. It is no longer there's no longer I-10 next to it. So we're going to clean this area up. We've got filter industrial waste. So we take a look at our pollution. And truthfully, I just kind of want that to be a city policy in general for all the industrial areas. Is that only zoned industrial? All right, we'll just keep that here, because we don't really have zoned industrial anywhere else. Let's try to think. Over here, yeah, this is all specialty industrial, so no zoned back there. All of our zoned industrial is in this one area. And then the other policy that we want to look at in this area is Industry 4.0, so we will put that in place. And I think we're gonna unionize as well this area. So these will be good family supporting jobs at a good wage with union work. We're going to finish off our commercial over here before transitioning. So this is kind of the transition area. This is certainly much more high-end feeling. Commercial drops down into some transitional. I would assume this would be, auto repair type shops, gas station, maybe a fast food restaurant, a bank, truthfully, would make some sense. So people could drop off their paychecks. And then I'm just going to pretty universally zone this area, as long as we're not getting too close to this road, because I want to give that as some special treatment. We may even just put offices along there. So now I envision this being a light industrial type use. So not, I know that the game likes to make this look like heavy industrial. That is not what I'm imagining in this area, but it is what we'll get. That is something that in a future game I hope becomes a thing, light industrial, because it's basically the type of industrial that every city hopes to get. Like if you get light industrial. So we're also going to throw in a bit of office along this road. The rationale here is that, first of all, it's not a very high trip generating use. Second of all, it's clean. And third of all, it can support some of the other businesses in this area. So we'll just kind of load those up around here. And then we'll finish off with some water pipes. And apparently I didn't connect. Now, it's hard to see. There's been so much redevelopment along Keller House that it's difficult to even remember what used to be in some of these areas, which is what happens in cities. So to me, that makes this feel very organic and natural. Places change, things redevelop, and the city is better for it. Constantly evolving and improving, hopefully. So here we go. The pollution is going to be my big concern. I mean, this is heavy industrial with utility type uses. This is the waste processing complex. You're not going to be able to clean these up very much. It just kind of, these uses are the kind of uses that they are. So I'm going to let this fill out for just a second, and then we'll see where we ended up with the rest of our build. All right, so I think that we've let this fill in enough. It's going to take a bit of time, just reasonably. Whenever you come through and you zone one of any kind of zone, you see your demand for that type of zone just absolutely fall off a cliff, and rightfully so. Unless it's residential and you're in an area that's just absolutely blowing up, this much, bringing this much industrial land into your city, this much office, those are the same types of land uses as far as the game is concerned, and really as far as reality is concerned too. So as I look at this area, I can't help but see these two green energy systems just sticking out like a sore thumb. I think that we need to have a build at some point where I make a proper green energy power plant. So these are going to have to move. I don't like what's happening here. This is an old carryover from the very beginning of the city. And, at the time, plans were different over here and they've changed. This is now our industrial park, our I-10 industrial park. If you have a name for that one, please let me know, because I'd love to change the name of this. It could be the Keller House Industrial Park, could be anything. Just drop in the comments. Let's take a look and see where we ended up with our land value. Did we pull our land value over? No, Myrtle Park is still the same. Cypress Square 61, looking a lot more like the Lewis Garden City every day. You can even see that some of the land value from the Lewis Garden City just crap up and grab this. And truthfully, if this train station weren't here, which isn't really doing all that much, unfortunately, if this weren't here, land values here would be through the roof. With this though, they're down a bit. I'd love to see, let's take a look. We'll go in I was hoping I could grab a train. Ooh, 87. Yeah, just not well utilized at this point. So I'm going to turn it down to one train going back and forth. So I would look at this as just a peak period service for the time being until this gets more popular. And, we have some of these buildings starting to level up. We're going to need to take a look at our education. We added a whole bunch of residential. We never added the schools over here, so that's another thing on the plate that we need to take care of soon. But we'll get there. We'll get there. I think right now we need to take a look at this corridor and have a brief city tour. Okay, so the wound over here is not healed completely. These areas are still fairly separated, which is really unfortunate. There's just not a lot of ways to make this connectivity a thing without really significant interventions that would really disrupt one of the two areas. And the area that's likely going to receive the bulk of the disruption is Myrtle Park. And the last thing the city should do is come in and claim that it understands what Myrtle Park residents want without asking them. So if the city were to go in there and say, hey, we'd love to blast through your neighborhood, tear down your friend's house to build a bridge that's going to bring all of the folks from the Lewis Garden City into your neighborhood to use your park, my guess is that Myrtle Park residents say they already do that. They cross this bridge, they go to our park. We don't want them driving here too. We've got one more road connection. It's not great. It's not perfect. I love this to connect directly in as well. We might, and I think here's where we maybe do a bit of forcing, and that is they're not going to like this, but we're going to add in a pedestrian connection right there. We will exercise an easement, but we'll go tit for tat. No, we're not. I've ruined the ability to do it over here now, so we are just going to add this one here. That'll be really helpful. It should provide another connection because that one's pretty far from this area. So if I pop back out, and it'll do nothing for a while. But at some point, that should be a valuable connection. Well, with that, I think we're going to leave it here. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please hit the like button. If you aren't subscribed, please consider doing so. And I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.